Hey, I know it has been a long time since I've done one of these, and I actually said that I was done doing videos for the season in a Twitter post back in November for a lot of different reasons, some of which are private, and I greatly appreciate everyone who respected my decision to take a break from making videos. But I am going to share one reason that I quit blogging because it's the same reason that I am doing this video today. Back in mid-November, the Oilers played a game in Dallas, and Talbot got lit up pretty bad. He let in the first 2 shots of the game. The Oilers battled back to take a lead, and then he let in 4 more. Not a great outing for Cam, but that's not what bothered me. What really made me angry was that post-game, Kelly Talbot posted a photo of her husband, and their 2 precious little ones. And someone tweeted a reply, which was later deleted, something to the effect of, "Family will always be there. Tell Cam to get his head out of his butt and focus on hockey." Now, not only is that statement untrue, and it embarrassed me that a fellow Oilers fan felt the need to say that to one of the players' wives, it also alerted me to the fact that I needed to get my priorities in order. And that's the reason that I'm making a video today. One of my family members is going through a really rough time right now, and I think, or at least I hope, that hearing my take on the Oilers will perk them up a bit. So let's get started. Let's go! Let's go! This season has been an unmitigated disaster. And not just because the Oilers will miss the playoffs for the 11th time in 12 seasons, which has been done before, by the way, by the Florida Panthers, but because it's a total waste of a season. There is zero benefit to it. Ask any Oilers fan. No one cares about high draft picks anymore.
Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, okay, next.
Also, in the past, like in the 2015-16 season, I could justify spending time watching the games because I could see some progression in their game and that they were on a path to becoming a contender. This season has just been a dead end.
What a waste of time.
Now, I'm going to channel my inner Mac T and conduct a forensic audit of the Oilers organization. Let's start at the top. Daryl Cates. Well, you're untouchable, so...
All right, who's next?
Bob Nicholson. I like Nicholson. The only thing that concerns me is that Wayne Gretzky seems to have equal footing as him in the organization now. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Wayne, but just because he was a great player doesn't mean he can be a good coach or a good manager. It was my understanding that when the Oilers brought Gretzky back into the organization, it was in a role sort of like an ambassador of the game, not as a decision maker. It is my greatest fear that Bob Nicholson will fire Peter Chiarelli and make Wayne Gretzky the general manager.
No, 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 no.
Chiarelli. A lot of people calling for his head right now. It's actually a real mob mentality. One of the reasons that I've just taken a break from Twitter. And what happens when people start hating on someone is that they tend to embellish and exaggerate to fit their narrative. I'll give you an example. A popular refrain about Chiarelli is that he's traded away Kessel, Wheeler, Sagan, Hall, Barzal, and Eberle for basically nothing. I've even seen Dougie Hamilton lumped into this argument sometimes, and he never even actually traded him. What is misleading about this is that You really need to reach to put all these players in the same category, and you need to have a selective memory to forget any of the success these deals yielded. Kessel was dealt for picks. Those picks wound up being Sagan, Hamilton, and Knight. Now, if you're going to slam Chiarelli for the Islanders selecting Barzal with the pick he dealt, you need to give him equal praise for selecting these players with the draft choices he acquired. He dealt a young, struggling Blake Wheeler to bring in veteran Rich Peverley to try and help the Bruins win the Cup. And they did. Ask any GM, would they take years of a productive player or one Stanley Cup ring? Not justifying the move, just saying. I hear a lot of people rip Chiarelli for not loading up and trying to win this year on the last year of Connor's entry-level contract. Well, if you do that, those are the types of trades you wind up making. And finally, Sagan was dealt for Louis Eriksson, Matt Fraser, and Joe Morrow. And Riley Smith. No one likes to mention this, since Smith has 47 points in 56 games this season, just 4 less than Sagan. You see what I'm saying? It's fine to rip Chiarelli, especially since pretty much every move he made in the offseason blew up in his face. But when you start to exaggerate and omit facts, it doesn't leave any room for debate. And I feel like that's where we are as Oilers fans. Not even just as Oilers fans, just as society in general. It seems like everything is so polarizing, we're no longer capable of having healthy, respectful debate. Yet another reason that I took a break from Twitter. Anyway, as far as Chiarelli is concerned, there are 2 deals I want to discuss. The Reinhart and Eberle deals. Now, let me say this first. I still agree with the rationale behind those 2 moves. Back in the summer of 2015, the Oilers were desperate for young defensemen that could grow with their core of players. And last summer, they needed to move out salary to protect themselves from a potential offer sheet to Draisaitl. Now, contrary to popular opinion, the Oilers didn't lose the Reinhart deal because Barzal has emerged as such a strong player. He is a fantastic young player, and he might even win the scoring title one day. He lost that trade because Reinhart turned into nothing, both as a player and as an asset. He couldn't establish himself on the Oilers roster, and then he was claimed by Vegas in the expansion draft. Barzal tearing it up just makes the trade even worse. Same goes for the Eberle trade. Ironically, Eberle has been rejuvenated playing with Barzal. But the real problem for Edmonton was that Strome has been horribly mismanaged and has also been remarkably unremarkable for long stretches. It took until the other night against Florida, game 55, for the Oilers to finally give Strome a shot on McDavid's wing. And it took until a few games ago, I think game 52, for them to put him on the left half wall on the power play for his one-timer. That's what I thought he was acquired for in the offseason. He's got a hard, accurate wrist shot, and the Oilers haven't taken advantage of it. Why did that take so long? More on Todd and his staff in a minute. Nicholson needs to be very careful in how he handles Chiarelli. Because of what Vegas has done this season, taking everyone's scraps and rising all the way to the top, I think that has given every manager league-wide a free pass for this season. If Nicholson does fire Chiarelli, what he needs to do is hire someone with experience, a good track record, and just like Chiarelli, 0 ties to the Oilers' old boys club. On to McClellan. The thing about Todd is he didn't just forget how to coach overnight. He was nominated for Coach of the Year last season. The problem this year has been some horrendous decision-making and a complete refusal to adapt on the fly. Early on in the year, Todd publicly called out his best players, something that Don Cherry pointed out on Coach's Corner as a poor choice. I couldn't agree with that more. Do that behind closed doors, but do not embarrass them publicly. As much as I might not like it, this is a different generation of players, and they do not respond well to that type of motivational tactic.
Go on.
Secondly, the refusal to break up Connor and Leon for so long did irreparable damage to the Oilers season. While several players were struggling with their confidence, he just hung them out to dry. I mean, if I'm the coach, if someone is struggling, I throw him on McDavid's wing just to give him a boost and get him going. And the thing is, McLellan did this in the past. I remember he put Yakupov and Pouliot on McDavid's line. But this season, he's just continued to beat a dead horse. Also, the Oilers are never ready to play. They've given up the first shot of the game 10 times. I mean, it must be a record, but I don't think anyone would bother tracking such an embarrassing and obscure statistic. They've also been scored on first 34 times. It is the coach's responsibility to have the players ready to play. Also, a lot of people believe the Oilers are a big, slow team. I think earlier this year, Ray Ferraro said that Chiarelli has built the Oilers to win in 2011, not 2018. Well, the thing is, they're not really a big, slow team. Cassian is a great skater. Darnell Nurse is a fantastic skater. Draisaitl, very powerful skater. Now that Greiba's in the minors, they only have two slow guys, Maroon and Lucic. And they have perhaps the fastest player ever to play the game in Connor McDavid. And here's the thing. What moves faster, Connor McDavid or the puck? I've said this many times before. It doesn't matter how fast your players are if they don't play with pace. The thing is, last year, McLellan did a really good job of having the Oilers play a balance of a finesse game, but also a very physical game. This year, he seems to have completely abandoned giving the players any offensive creativity, and he's in this routine of playing a cycle into the corner, back up to the point, back into the corner, trying to wear the other team down. And one more thing.
There's more?
What is with the goalie pulls lately? You got to have the puck when you get him out of there, otherwise the other team will just shoot it straight into your net. And the players haven't even seemed aware that he's coming out. This is brutal miscommunication, and that falls directly on the coaching staff. Now, I'm not behind the bench, so I don't know where the decision-making ends with McLellan and begins with Woodcroft and Johnson. But does it really matter? This is the part of the season that is inexcusable. To have Connor McDavid, the best player on the planet, running a power play that is 30th in the league is an absolute disgrace. I said this earlier in the year when the power play was still middle of the pack. It's not even so much about the results. It's about how non-threatening it is. The Oilers pass the puck around widely about the perimeter, and then they get it to Clefbaum for the point shot. And the problem is, he never freaking shoots it. And when he does, he shoots it wide of the net because he's hurt. I'm pretty sure he's been hurt all year, and yet the coaching staff continually puts him out there, squandering endless opportunities and also killing the guy's confidence because he can't get the job done.
Why don't you just feed me to the lions?
What?
Step on my head when I'm drowning.
Should I even discuss the penalty kill?
No. Hard pass.
What the Sam heck is even going on here? It is the worst home penalty kill of all time. Of all the terrible teams that have played throughout the years, none of them come close to the travesty that is the Oilers' home penalty killing unit. How many goals do you have to let in from the point before you realize that the L shape or the diamond or whatever you want to call it doesn't work? I've seen Pee-wee teams with more effective penalty kills. That's not a joke because it's not rocket science. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Play a tight box. Have active sticks. Clear lanes so your goalie gets a clear view of the puck. And the reason that the PK is such an Achilles heel is because the Oilers have some big, strong players who can intimidate the opposition, and they're scared to hit anyone. because they know they absolutely cannot, under any circumstances, take a penalty, because it will almost certainly result in a goal against. Both special teams units suck the life out of the team. I will say this. I don't think I really have a problem with just letting things ride out for the rest of the year and continuing with the same general manager and coach next season. Look at Colorado. They were absolutely awful last year, kept their coach and GM. They've rebounded very nicely. But I preach accountability on this blog. Someone at some level in the organization needs to pay the price for this absolute miserable failure of a season. And Woodcroft and Johnson don't have a leg to stand on. They have zero justification for keeping their jobs. Now, on to the players themselves. Surprisingly, these are the only ones I really have any sympathy for a few reasons. First of all, did you know the Oilers hit the post more than any other team in the league? Now, normally this stat wouldn't really stand out to me, but it's the timing and the clustered frequency of the hit posts that's shocking. For instance, against the Leafs in Toronto, the Oilers badly outplayed them and hit the post 5 times and lost 1-0. In numerous other games, they've had opportunities like this that are borderline comedic, where the puck just would not cross the goal line. Secondly, the Oilers have lost every single coach's challenge this season.
I don't believe you.
Seriously. That means that every single time the opposition has questioned an Oilers goal, it's been disallowed. And every single time the Oilers have questioned the opposition's goal, it's been allowed to stand. Also, despite having Connor McDavid, the fastest player in the league, the Oilers draw less penalties than any other team. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh yeah, typical Oilers fan blaming the refs. Yeah, sure. No, quite the opposite actually. See, the thing is, offside calls and goalie interference plays are 50-50 at best. The fact that the Oilers have been on the wrong side of it every time is just awful luck. As for the penalty calls, I think that Connor McDavid's speed has actually prevented him from drawing calls. Think about it for a second. McDavid blasts by the official. He gets hooked, held, or slashed, but they're so far behind the play by that point, they can't see it. And if they don't see it, they can't call it. Also, like I said earlier, the Oilers have some bigger, stronger players. They don't go down easy. I can't count the number of times I've seen Lucic high-sticked or slashed and he didn't go down. Also, can you think of even one game this year that the Oilers won that they didn't deserve to?
Nope.
Exactly. And what happens when you feel like you're hitting the post all the time and you know that you need to outplay the opposition to have a chance to win? Exactly. And what happens is when you feel like you're hitting the post all the time and you know that you need to outplay the opposition in order to have a chance to win, and you know that you're probably not going to get your share of calls or challenges, and you know that you absolutely cannot take a penalty, it begins to wear on you mentally. Why do you think the Oilers have had so many games this year, like the one against Nashville, where they're out shooting them 29-4? They let in a goal and everything falls apart. The Oilers have completely lost all of their confidence and swagger that they had last year. And the thing is, no amount of trades, free agent signings, or firings is going to bring that back. I know a lot of fans think that last year was an anomaly, but I have a hard time believing that when I see all these bizarre statistics surrounding this year's Oilers. So I know it's hard and it's frustrating because you invest so much in the team, but my advice is just take a deep breath and just remember there's only 27 games left in this season.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.